Hey everybody, Dylan here with West River Whiskey. Tonight we're going to talk about a couple different whiskeys, and really it's sort of themed, sort of not themed, but the distillery that we're talking about is from Texas. It is a Texas distillery. Balcones is the distillery, and we're going to be talking about two of their whiskeys tonight. The Balcones Pot Still Bourbon, which one has won numerous awards, and the Texas True Blue 100 Proof, which is a corn whiskey made with Texas blue corn. Both of these, according to the distillery, both of these whiskeys are basically what they call grain to bottle. So they source the grain locally. It's Texas grains, and they do everything from sourcing it to distilling it, barreling it, bottling it. It's what they're known for. Balcones is the distillery in Texas that really has brought the Texas style whiskey, almost a new style of whiskey in its own. You have bourbon, you have Tennessee whiskey, you've got Scotch, you've got Japanese whiskey, you've got Canadian whiskey, you've got rye, you've got wheat, you've got all those other different whiskeys. But when we're talking regional whiskeys, like in Scotland, there's 5 different regional whiskeys. And in the United States, you've got Kentucky bourbon, right? You've got Tennessee whiskey. You've got stuff like that. Balcones has really been at the forefront of that Texas whiskey revolution, kind of, I guess, to say, that's going on right now. And I'm really excited to have these. I just got these in recently here. And the pot still, the Texas pot still bourbon, this is sold at 46% ABV, which makes it about, 92 proof, right? So really interesting. I've nosed this a little bit before we started here because I just opened these tonight. Really, it was hard waiting to open these. But this is from I think this is right around April of 2019 is the bottling of these. The pot still bourbon is as its name hints, right? Or name declares, it is a whiskey made in a pot still, which is more and more these days. I think we talked about this in previous conversations. We talked about the majority of distilleries around the U.S. are using, column stills or different types of pot stills that go into a column still. But this is their pot still. Start to finish, it's in a pot still. So, I'm hoping to get, I think I've made my opinions pretty clear on the Irish whiskeys as of late, where I really enjoy that, the flavors that you get, the flavor profiles that you get from those copper pot stills with Irish whiskeys. And so I'm really excited to try a pot still bourbon. The other one, the True Blue, the 100 proof. This is not their cask strength. This is the 100 proof, the True Blue 100 proof. This whiskey, this like I said earlier, this is a corn whiskey. So this is at least 51% corn in this whiskey to be able to be called a corn whiskey. It does not have an age statement. So where the pot still says that it's at least 2 years old, meaning that the youngest whiskey in here is 2 years old. The True Blue does not have an age statement, but this one was from their April 16th, 2019 bottling. So this one was bottled a little over a year ago. And this one, I believe, was bottled in February of 2020. The batch number and date got kind of damaged on the back of this in transit. So I apologize for not knowing the bottling date, but I think it's February 7th, 2020 is the bottling date for it. So this one was bottled about 5 months ago. So, I guess unfortunately, and I probably should say this, these are not available anywhere in the state of South Dakota right now. So I did have to get these from outside of South Dakota. So, I'm kind of straying off of what I like to do and keep stuff where we can find it locally. But right now, none of the distributors in South Dakota are carrying this. I've made my opinion very clear on that subject to a number of people in the business that we really need to be getting the Balcones in stock. So the nose on this, it is. I'm going to say that the nose is just bold. It's almost overpowering. You really get a lot of oak. You get a lot of sweet candy, kind of like almost like you'd get if you were. I guess the way that they describe it is kind of like a kettle corn, but it's almost like a candy corn, where you get a lot of that sweetness, that honeyed, like you ever had I think people can relate to this. You ever play baseball when you were a kid or when you were younger, and in the winter or in the fall when you were done playing, you'd put an oil on the glove and stuff like that. It kind of smells like that, and that's one of the things that they talk about is they say that it's really an oiled glove kind of a smell, but it reminds me a lot of when I was playing Little League as a kid, and it has that smell, that baseball smell to it. But the nose is just really strong on this. I mean, you can maybe it's just wishful thinking, but you can kind of smell some apple in there. It's definitely not like your green apples like you get with your Irish whiskeys in a pot still, but you can definitely smell the apples in it. So. Wow. Whew. So 90, what did we say this was? 46%, 92 proof. Boy, I'd almost think that was, it's almost got that George T. Stagg feel to it, the Stagg Jr., where you're over 60%. That, it's definitely hitting above its weight. You can definitely taste the honey, the candied smell that I was talking about. That really it's like almost like a pecan pie is the way I'd have to describe it. Very creamy, really viscous. It really coats the mouth. So yeah, the mouthfeel on that is fantastic. Really, really dry finish. Really makes me want to drink some water. Not that it's too strong, not that it's overpowering, but it's a really dry finish on the end. Very, very good. Texas bourbon, this is my first Texas bourbon that I've had. I've been trying to get stuff like Garrison Brothers up here, and trying to talk some of the the wholesalers around here into picking up, the whiskey tribes, some of the selections from the whiskey tribe, some of the experiments that they've been doing. That one's a little harder to get because they're really, like, when you talk craft distilleries, they're really craft. This is more of a mainstream craft distillery, where it's not hard to find. Their bourbon is, sub 50, sub 40. I think I paid like $36 for this bottle, and honestly, I think I would have paid a little bit more for it. It is definitely worth it. So, yeah, I'd have to give this probably, I would say probably an 8.5 out of 10, or 85%, whatever the scale is that we want to use. But that is really good, between an 8 and a 9 on that. I really enjoyed that. I guess we should probably move on to the True Blue, 100 proof. Again, this is pot distilled. This is a straight corn whiskey, meaning that it is not blended with any other distillery's product, anything like that. This is a straight corn whiskey, and I've been really looking forward to this one as well. A while back, one of my coworkers was getting ready to go to Texas before all of the craziness happened with what's going around. But and I had asked her, hey, can you pick me up some of this? Can you pick me up some of that? And she ended up canceling her trips. Otherwise, I would have had this a lot sooner. But this was the number one item on my list, was this True Blue. Again, this is 100 proof, so you're looking at 50% ABV. This is Texas Blue Corn, and it is, it just gets rave reviews. So I'm really excited to try it. But this is one that I haven't nosed yet. Definitely smells cinnamon. Sugar, a lot of sugar, a lot of sweet on that nose. Yeah, cinnamon is just the overpowering smell here. Maybe some like almost dried fruits. Yeah, the nose on that's definitely unique. It's not a bourbon nose, or not what you would consider a typical bourbon. It doesn't have the nose that the pot still bourbon has. It's definitely got its own nose. Wow, that is different. You definitely get the sweetness from the corn that you've come to expect from a high corn bourbon or a straight corn whiskey. If any of you ever tried mellow corn, which got it right up there. As a matter of fact, I almost want to grab that just to compare it, but because they're both 100 proof, and it'd be probably a fair comparison of the two. But yeah, it doesn't taste anything like corn whiskeys I've had in the past. A lot of oak, and I think that the oak has a lot to do with the fact that in Texas they talk a lot about how, when you're in Ireland or Scotland, you're fighting to get the whiskey out in 10, 12, 15 years, stuff like that. In Kentucky, it's hard to keep it in the barrel longer than 6 or 7 years, 8 years, stuff like that, because of the climate there. But in Texas, the climate is so extreme, where you get a whiskey in a barrel for 2 years in the Texas climate, especially around where these guys are. And I think that these, yeah, Balcon. I'm pretty sure Balcones is in Waco, Texas. So right up on that, just I think that's just south of Austin. Um, Really starting to get into southern Texas, you get those extremes, the hot days and the colder nights, from aging it. And so it has the feel of a young whiskey. I wouldn't even venture a guess. I would like to think that it's at least 2 years, but I don't know. I would think if they're putting at least a 2 year age statement on this, that they would do the same with the True Blue if it was indeed a 2 year aged whiskey. But the taste on this, it's just so different from something like a mellow corn or any of your typical corn whiskeys, and definitely completely different than your wheated whiskeys, wheated bourbons, or high corn bourbons, low rye, low wheat. Little bit of a coffee, little bit of a coffee flavor to it. Yeah, definitely a little bit of a coffee flavor to it. I would say a lot of oak, a lot of oak. I mean, this is a very oaky whiskey, and that's not to say that it's unpleasant. That's definitely not to say that it's unpleasant. I think that when we're talking about really good whiskeys, especially when you start getting like the your southern type of whiskeys. When you get further south in Tennessee, you start getting into your Georgia, your Alabama, um, Texas, places like that, where they're taking the product out of the barrel sooner because of how in and out the juice gets in the barrel. Um, it's definitely got a similar taste to a lot of those southern style whiskeys. I would think, what is it, the maize? I'm going to butcher it, but the Alabama whiskey, I think it's maize something or another. But that's got a really oaky flavor as well, and I would assume that has to do with the conditions that they're storing it in, the oak and how long it has to be in there. But this is a very, very, I mean, it's makes me wonder how deep the char was. If it was a 3 char or 4 char for that, I'm not 100% sure, but it is very good, very, very good. Yeah. So if I were to say for corn whiskeys, where I would rate this, where I would put something like mellow corn at, I would probably put mellow corn somewhere in the neighborhood of a 5.5 to 6. I mean, it's a pretty basic corn whiskey, but it seems to be a pretty popular whiskey, and for $20 you can't go wrong. This is definitely a little bit more. This is 100 proof, so you're going to pay for it. I think I paid somewhere around $45 or $50 for it. It might have been a little bit more. But I will say that's well worth it. Now, I would probably give this maybe a 7 to a 7.5 out of 10. I think that it is a very good corn whiskey. It's got a lot going on. The finish, it's very, I mean, it just sticks, right? The finish it just does. But that would be my take. So these two whiskeys, whether it's your True Blue, whether it's your Texas Pot Still, and hopefully we get some Balcones in locally, and if not, look for it in other places if you're traveling, and I think that you can't go wrong. I highly recommend both of these whiskeys, even though they're very different in their in the product, with the corn on one hand and the wheat on, or the bourbon on the other. So if you get an opportunity, check them out. If you see them locally, let us know, because I am, especially after trying these tonight, I am a huge, huge, huge um, uh, Balcones fan. I will say that. So, hey, thanks a lot. Again, this is this is Dylan with West River Whiskey, and we look forward to our next video. Thanks a lot.